So today's topic is JMX, Java Management Extension. So we will talk about what is and why you want to use JMX, and we'll look into architecture and concept of MBean and some of the services that come with the JMX runtime. And we'll talk about the concept of MBean server as JMX agent, and then we are going to see how you can build your JMX enabled Java application step by step, pretty simple step, and we're going to look into a few other topics. What is and why JMX? Well, first of all, why we want to have some management and monitoring capability of the application as well as your infrastructure software. So the software are getting more complicated, not only in infrastructure level, but also application level. So typical infrastructure software need administration, configuration, and monitoring capability. And same thing for your enterprise application as well. And enterprise business applications are also becoming more complex. They are typically distributed, complex, and mission critical and high volume, and could be dynamic. So administration, so management and monitoring of these features of your enterprise applications are becoming even more important. So what is JMX? You can think of JMX as an architecture. It provides an architecture for management and monitoring your application, and it also provides some design patterns for building your management and monitored application, monitoring enabled application. It provides an APIs and the services as well for exposing and managing your applications, and as well as system software, including JVM, as you will see later on. So it provides means to instrument your Java code. In this case, Java code is a managed object. Those are managed resource, and these are the things that are interested. These are the things that are interest to developers and deployers. Meaning you are interested in finding out how your applications are performing. It also provides means for implementing distributed management middleware and managers. So management software vendors could use JMX for providing their management of the enabled middleware and software. And it basically provides means for smoothly integrate these solutions into existing management systems as well. So JMX is a standard API for, again, managing and monitoring on Java platform through JSR 3 and JSR 160. So example information that you can collect include, for example, how many classes are being loaded at the moment on your JVM. So in this case, JVM is JMX enabled. And how many times a business method has been executed. So if you're building a purchase order application, you might want to find out how many purchase order request has been received and or executed. And basically you can use JMX for any kind of manageable resource. So this manageable resource, sometimes called managed object or managed resource. So applications can use JMX for management and monitoring. So management includes changing configuration settings. So you might have, your application might have a set of configuration values, and those things could be changed during runtime. And monitoring, basically getting statistical information, and sometimes you want to get notifications. So suppose your the threshold value is exceeded, and then you want to get some notifications. So it's built in from Java SE5 and Java EE 1.4 and after. So JMX benefits, so it provides scalable management architecture, so you can modularize agent services. You can have many agents. In this case, it's going to be called the MBean server, as you will see later on. Easy integration, meaning JMX agents are manageable through various protocols. You can use various protocols, including web services. integrates existing management solutions. You don't have to throw away existing management solutions. For example, managed console could be actually talking to JMX agent. It leverages existing standard Java technologies, and it is applicable to a wide range of applications as well. So again, these are a bit of repeat. So you can use JMX for reading and changing your application configurations. And you can also get information on your infrastructure and business level operational statistics. For example, availability, how long your JVM has been around, how long your JVM has been live. You can use JMX for detection of capacity problems. For example, you can get the event notification when the capacity has been exceeded on the threshold that you set. Of course, you can use application performance, so you can see how many transaction has been performed, things like that. And resource usage, how a particular resource has been used. Problems, so again, you can actually set some threshold, and that threshold could actually indicate some problems, and you can get event notifications. So these events could be, the faults on some part of the application or in your infrastructure, state changes, or improving services via proactive alerting. So these are the examples that you can use JMX. Okay, so this picture shows management architecture without using JMX. So in this case, you have to have management console specifically designed to a particular resource. So here we have various resources that need to be managed. For example, web server needs to be managed, application server needs to be managed, and database needs to be managed, and the firewall has to be managed. In that case, basically, you have to provide resource-specific management solution, including console and including agent. And of course, this is not really desirable. So by using JMX, you are using unified management. So in this case, basically you can use a single management console, and then you could have a connector adapter. So connector adapter is for a particular management protocol. It could be SNMP, it could be CMIP, or it could be web services and things like that. And any managed resource will be managed as what is called the MBean. Okay, so this little circle is representing what is called the MBean, managing each of these managed resources. So web server is a managed resource, application server is a managed resource, and database is a managed resource. And each of these managed resources will have what is called the MBean that represent that particular managed resource. And they all work in the same way. So let's look into JMX architecture. So at the instrumentation level, meaning this is where managed object or managed resources are being managed through what is called the MBean. So MBeans instrument managed resources, exposing attributes and operations. So MBean is a Java object that represents the attributes of your managed resource or managed object. And then we have agent. When we say JMX agent, we are talking about MBean server, and we also have predefined services such as a timer services as part of the JMX runtime. And then we have a remote management. We are talking about managed console, talking to your managed agent, JMX agent, through some kind of protocol. And those protocols are supported by what is called the connectors. So this is the picture that shows what I just talked about in the previous slide. So we have remote manager, managed console, management console, talking to JMX agent, and JMX agent is basically managing various MBeans. So we have 3 MBeans. Okay, these 3 MBeans. And each of these MBean represent managed resource. So this could be a database, it could be your app server, it could be a device, things like that. Okay, so let's talk about MBean. So as I said before, MBean is a named managed object representing a managed resource. And that resource could be pretty much anything. So it could be an application, it could be EJB object, it could be Java object, it could be device, it could be pretty much anything. Now, MBean will have three things: attributes, operations, and notifications. So attributes are basically property values that could be read or written. Operations are a method that could be invoked, and notifications are basically notifications that could be sent out from that MBean. So this is an example of, let's say, cache control MBean. So it has attributes, it has operations, and it has notifications. So it has used the field, which is read-only, and we have a size field, which is read and write. And then it has an operations, which are methods that could be invoked. So it has save and drop oldest methods. And these are the methods that could be executed at the request of the management console. And then we have notifications. And we'll see these notifications example. We'll see examples of this code later on. Okay, so every MBean has a name, and the name is an instance of object name class. Okay, so this object name class is from javafx.management.objectName package. And name typically, name has two things: domain and a set of key properties. So examples are like a com.example colon type cache control colon com.example type cache control and name what is cache. So on the left with a blue colored font, they are domain, and on the right, these are set of key properties. So these are the names of MBean. Okay, so let's talk about two different types of MBean. There is a standard MBean and there is a dynamic MBean. So standard MBean is the simplest way of creating MBean. So basically, you're going to follow some patterns. You create Java interface called the name of the bean, in this case Fred, and then you ends with MBean, capital M and capital B and EN. And then you provide implementation class of it using the same name, in this case Fred. So instance of this implementation class, in this case Fred, is MBean. Dynamic MBean, you could actually expose an attributes and operations during runtime. So it provides a bit more flexibility because you can create attributes during runtime. So in order to create dynamic MBean, you are going to implement dynamic MBean's interface, and then you're going to have a methods that return attributes and operations. But as far as the agent is concerned, it works pretty much the same. Once MBean is created, then it has attributes and it has the operations, and you could perform some notifications. So this is dynamic MBean interface. So you can have get MBean info, get attribute, set attribute, and get attributes. And then you can actually invoke. Invoke is for performing an operation invocation, method invocation. Okay, notifications. Notifications are made of several classes. So notification emitter is the event generator, and notification listener is event listener, and notification class is representing an event, and notification broadcaster support is helper class. Okay, so notification listener object registers its interest of getting event notification with MBean server, which is JMX agent. Okay, so JMX services. So these are the services that come with the JMX runtime. So these services themselves are in the form of MBeans. So you can think of these JMX services as a built-in MBeans. So monitoring services, relation services, timer services, and MNet service. So MNet service is kind of interesting. So let's say MBeans represent the present at a remote place wants to get so if you want to have your MBeans to be downloadable from, let's say, remote server somewhere, then you can use this MNet service. Okay, moving forward. So we just talked about the concept of MBean. Now let's move on to MBean server. So this MBean server plays a role of JMX agent. So this is JMX agent, and in the form of MBean server. So MBean server is managing multiple MBeans. So we have 4 managed beans and the MBeans. Okay. So each of these MBeans should have a name, right? So in this case, is that example :type equal cache control. So this MBean server is managing 4 MBeans. Okay, so MBean has to be registered with the MBean server. That makes sense, right? So until MBean itself is registered with the MBean server does not know about that MBean. Okay, so when MBean is registered with the MBean server, it has to provide its object name. So this is the name of that MBean. And so the only way that you can access MBean is through the MBean server. Okay. And you can have a multiple MBean server per JVM, and but usually there is a built-in MBean server from Java platform, and it's called the platform MBean server. It's actually a platform MBean server. So in order to use the built-in MBean server from JVM, basically you are going to call this method, get platform MBean server, from this class, from management factory class. Okay. So MBean server is a Java interface, so it has a bunch of methods, in fact, and these are something important. These are important methods. You can create MBean, so you can instantiate and register an MBean with the MBean server using create MBean method. You can use invoke method of MBean server object. So in this case, you are basically invoking an MBean, and you can perform query MBeans. So it basically returns the MBeans controlled by that particular MBean server, this particular MBean server, and you can get the attributes of a particular the MBean. So here, the MBean, you are passing the name of the MBean in the form of object name. Okay, same thing right here. And here you are creating an MBean by providing object name and the class of that MBean. Okay, so the local clients of MBean server can actually access create MBean, invoke, create MBeans method, invoke method, and query MBeans method. For remote server, a remote management console could actually invoke the same thing through what is called the connector. Okay? So in this case, we have MBeans server connection object, and then you can actually invoke the same methods. Okay? And those are passed to MBean server through this connector. And communication could be RMI or IIOP, or it could be web services. So this is the concept of connector. So connector is basically providing particular communication specific the implementation for communicating with MBean server from management console. Okay, so connectors. So this is what I just talked about. Connectors are defined by JMX Remote API, JSL 160, and Java platform includes RMI and RMI over IIOP connectors. And you can actually build custom connectors, of course. And one of the things that actually being worked, well, actually, this is kind of provided already right now. So I should actually move this current work. And you can actually create the multiple connectors, custom connectors. Okay, so let's move on. How we can instrument your Java application using JMX, meaning how you can enable JMX management and monitoring of the application. Okay, so simple application in this case, let's say we have an application that is not JMX enabled. Okay, so the things that we want to display or monitor is basically display number, counter number, and things like that. Yeah, maybe this is not that much important slide. Okay, so first of all, you are going to create MBean interface. In this case, we are going to create an MBean interface called click counter standard MBean. So we are using standard MBean here. Okay, and then you're going to implement that interface. The name of that implementation class has to be click counter std. So create click counter standard implementing this interface. Okay, and you can extend whatever your application business level classes as well. And then you're going to get system MBean server, and then you're going to register your MBean to that MBean server, and then you can actually perform management and monitoring and get the event notification. So this is an interface. So here we have a set of methods. So reset, get display number, set display number, and get counter number. So these are the values that display number and counter number, those are the management information that we'd like to actually retrieve. And you're going to implement that interface. So the name of the class is going to be click counter std, like this. Okay, so here basically you can provide whatever management business logic here. Okay, so here we are resetting it, and here we are basically getting display number from the model object. But this is actually management specific logic. And this slide shows now we get the MBean server, platform MBean server, and then we are going to register our MBean to that MBean server. So again, we are going to call get platform MBean server method of management factory. So we are using platform MBean server, and then we create our object name representing our MBean. So we are going to say com.jpassion.clickCount, and type equal click counter std. Okay, and then we create the actual MBean object. So this is the implementation class, right? So we are creating actual MBean object, and then we call register MBean method of the managed MBean server, providing your MBean object and the name. It's pretty straightforward, right? Okay, so let's talk about how we can access JMX agent in terms of configuration. Now, in Java SE5 and before, JDK 1.4 and JDK 1.5, and yeah, so Java SE5 and earlier version, in order to have your application to be managed, you have to actually start your application with this option, -d and com.sun.management and JMX remote. Okay, and of course that's not really convenient in some cases, especially if you have production applications. You cannot really stop it and then restart it with this option if you want to get it managed. Okay, in Java SE6 this is resolved, so you don't have to specify this. It will be dynamically get attached. So all you have to do is just start your management console like a JConsole. So JConsole is management console, JMX management console that comes with a JDK. Okay, so we are going to use this JConsole later on in the lab. Okay, so when you start JConsole, you're going to actually see all the JVMs that are running on your platform. So in this case, I'm running 2 JVM applications. And then you can actually, this is a JConsole, you can actually see memory, threads, classes, MBeans. So this is the MBeans that we are interested here. So you can see, these are the attributes that you can actually manage. So these are the attributes. You can see, you can actually click the operations and you can get notifications. So we'll do the lab in a few minutes. And these are notifications. So you can actually subscribe notifications and you can get the notifications. Visual VM is a visual tool that comes with the JDK 1.6 as well. So this you can think of a superset of JConsole. All right, so let me see. Let me just finish up the presentation, then we will do the lab. Performance implication. So if you are running the JMX console, suppose in JDK 5 and before, what is the performance implication? If there is no console, meaning if there is no management console using it, then there is no performance implication. If there is a management console getting connected, then performance implication is 3 to 4%. Let me just talk about Web Services Connector for JMX, and then we'll move on to the lab. So Web Services Connector, as I said before, RMI over IIOP and RMI, those connectors are provided, and then there are other connectors are possible, and Web Services Connectors is actually one such option as well. So you have MBean server, and then the client, meaning in this case a management console, send a SOAP message to the server, and the data could be actually retrieved in the form of SOAP messages. Okay, all right, so basically that is relatively straightforward concept. All right, so I'm going to just move on. These are the resources. So let's do the lab. Okay, so it looks like there is a question. Does Java EE SDK come with the MBean server? Any open source MBean servers are available in the market? Yes, so that is correct. Yes, the Glassfish and pretty much all the app servers are actually, they have a built-in JMX agent. The JMX applications can be tested outside the container. Of course, you can actually have a JMX application in the form of Java SE application or Java EE server, whatever. It's actually, any Java application. All right, so let's try the exercise 0 and 1. So basically exercise 0 is you're going to add plugins to your NetBeans IDE, but you can actually use the JMX with any kind of Java application with any kind of IDE, any kind of server. So in this case we are going to use NetBeans IDE. So click Tools Plugin, and then click Available Plugin, and then you select JConsole and JMX and install it. So exercise 1, now I'm going to actually do the lab actually using the real NetBeans. So what you do is once you install the NetBeans, the JConsole and JMX, plugins, you make sure. So in this case, let me just make sure that I have those things installed and activated. So I have JConsole is activated. Make sure it's activated. If you are not if JConsole and JMX is not activated, then later on, when you try to create a project, you might not actually see it. So it's activated for me. So now what we are going to do is we are going to create a new project that is already JMX enabled. So if you expand samples, you should see JMX. So if you don't see it, that means either you have not installed JMX plugin or a JMX plugin has not been activated. Okay, so I'm going to select Anagram game. It's already the JMX enabled. Then we are going to take a look at the code in a few minutes. Okay, and next, and I'm going to create this project. All right, so let's run this application. First of all, I am going to build this application and then run in the command line, because if I'm running this application as part of the NetBeans, when I use the JConsole, so you can actually start the JConsole with the command line like this. So I have a JConsole, and I have, so this is probably NetBeans, okay? So what we want to actually do is we want to start the Anagram application at the command line so that we can actually select it. So what you do is right-click it and clean build. So we create a job file. So we create a job file, and then we are going to run this application. So I'm going to just copy this guy. And then I am going to start another console and start this guy. Okay, so we have Anagram application up and running. Now if I see, so this is my JConsole application. So let's see, I want to this must be it. Let's see, MBeans. Oh, this is not it. Okay. I'm going to start another console. Okay, here we go. So this is the one, 55308. So I'm going to get connected with it. Why it doesn't succeed? Oh, this is interesting. I'm actually failing to get connected with this guy. So let me just see. Oh, so I'm gonna just use, instead of the command line, I'm gonna actually use from the MXBeans. So here I'm going to run main project with the monitoring and management. Okay. All right. So here I can say, run this application. Okay. Now. Okay. So now it's getting connected, and then I call MBeans. So here, this is the anagram statistics. So I can see statistics. So the current anagram is this guy, and it has an attribute called last thinking time and max thinking time and minimum thinking time. Okay, so let's try to run this guy. I'm not sure which one is which, so let me just kill this guy. Okay, so this one. What is this? I have no idea what this is. Is new word. I'm going to try new word. Ambiguous. That's too hard for me to. Give me something that I can do. The first one is supposed to be abstraction. All right, I'm going to try one more time. Apology. Okay, so I'm going to run it again. Okay, so let me just this. I don't have any. Yeah, so I don't need to actually use the command line. So I'm going to just use this guy. And here, abstraction. Yes. Okay, so new word, ambiguous. Something like that. Looks like I am ambiguous. Whatever. New word. So, again, if I go to MBean and then see the attributes, you can see, the maximum thinking time is 10 seconds. Minimum thinking time I gave was 6 seconds. Number resolved the anagrams. I actually resolved twice, and the current value is this. Now, if I want to reset this guy, so I can call reset. Okay. And I'm calling this reset thinking time. So when I click this guy, now if you see the values, it has been reset. This thinking time has been reset. Okay. In terms of notifications, so I can subscribe. So let me just move in so that I can be recorded correctly. Subscribe. So I'm actually subscribing event notifications. So whenever I try these things, so new word. Correct. So I think it's actually case actually getting the event notification when it is, when it is correct guess. Okay. Let's see what could be. All right, I'm gonna actually try one more time. All right, so here I'm gonna try the ambiguous. Why is actually giving me a difficult one? All right, so I'm gonna actually show you how it works. So here, these things I showed you and perform operations, we were able to set the values. And then here you get the subscribe, and then the if you actually set it correctly, and then you get the event notifications. Okay. All right. So let's actually see the code. So let's take a look at the MBean first. So this is an interface. Okay. So you can see we have a set of methods. So get last thinking time, get max thinking time, and things like that. So set of methods. This is MBean interface. And then we have implementation class. So here we provide the logic of the actual implementation logic for those methods. And in addition, it has the methods, operations methods. So these methods could be invoked. So when we set thinking times method has been executed, we actually initializing those values. And then we have event notification. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, when stop thinking. So when stop thinking, so in this case, when anagram has been resolved, that's the time we actually compute the times, and then we are creating a notification, and then we are sending notification through the broadcast object. Okay, so that's how things work. And in terms of registration, so let's see how this MBean is actually being registered. So this is JMX code, JMX agent code. So this JMX class has init method. So init method, we create MBean, and then we create the object name, and then we are creating MBean server object. This is a platform, platform MBean server, and then we register with our MBean and B name. Okay, so that's relatively straightforward. Okay, so that's pretty much what I have. Let's see in terms of the lab. So we just take a look at the code. All right, so let me just finish